Well, this happened yesterday.
We have breaking news now. CP24 is making the call.
And CP24 declares an Olivia Chow win. Olivia Chow will be the new mayor of Toronto. These are live pictures inside Chow headquarters there.
The ultra-progressive socialist candidate for mayor, Olivia Chow, swept to power last night as the new mayor of Canada's largest city. Say what you will about Chow, and we certainly will on the show, Chow's victory caps off a remarkable political comeback after she finished a distant third place in 2014 for the same job and lost in 2015 to become a member of parliament in a downtown Toronto riding. After declaring Chow the victor of last night's mayoral by-election, the Canadian legacy media immediately proceeded to do what they usually do when a progressive candidate wins, fawn over them, and start talking about race.
And I just want to add something, Olivia Chow just made history. She's the first woman of color. She's the first woman to be elected mayor of Toronto. She speaks with an accent. So many Torontonians see themselves represented in Olivia Chow.
That's really important to pick up on. And Kristen, I'll come to you for this. She's also the first racialized mayor in Toronto's history.
The media, since this race began, have painted Olivia Chow as a change candidate. The reality couldn't be further from that statement. Chow is not a change candidate. In fact, Chow, unlike all the other candidates in the race, represents the urban status quo. High taxes, drug decriminalization, safe supply, and soft on crime. Those are the pillars of Olivia Chow's campaign and the pillars of what the city of Toronto and every other major city, it appears, in Canada have been embracing for the past 5 or 6 years now. Someone should really bring up the rather uncomfortable fact that during the election, Olivia Chow was seen meeting with the Toronto Fuching Business Association, a group that Global News alleged last year was operating overseas communist Chinese police stations in Markham, Ontario. Well, not to worry, we're going to bring that up on this show, and much more. Drop a like on the video, help us out by subscribing to the True North YouTube channel, and the comment question for the episode is this: what is going to happen to Toronto over the next 4 years? Let me know in the comments, and let's get into it. On the very first morning after Olivia Chow swept to power as mayor of Toronto, a shooting outside of a daycare center at 7:30 in the morning in the heart of downtown Toronto took place. Is there anything more symbolic than that? A shooting outside of a daycare center to welcome the new soft on crime mayor, Olivia Chow. When I say soft on crime, I mean that the word crime is not mentioned anywhere in Olivia Chow's very thin platform. You know what is mentioned in Olivia Chow's platform, however? Improving 911 wait times. Not by, of course, expanding the number of police to guarantee that police can show up in an emergency. No, of course not. That would be far too logical. Her plan to solve 911 wait times is to increase the number of community social workers that can respond to emergency calls. The new mayor of Toronto thankfully recognizes that something needs to be done about the TTC, about the transit system in Canada's largest city. Solving crime on the TTC, however, just didn't seem to make it into Olivia Chow's platform. The fact that cold-blooded murders, like that of Vanessa Kurpieska, a 31-year-old woman killed with an ice pick on a subway in broad daylight, that might be an issue for you, but not for Olivia Chow. How about the fatal stabbing of 16-year-old Gabriel Magalhaes on a Friday night waiting for a bus outside of a subway station? Again, that might be a problem for you, but not for Olivia Chow. This is to say nothing at all over the far too often murder of TTC service workers simply because they happen to be working in the TTC. The problem for Olivia Chow seems to be that the TTC subway system isn't running fast enough, and that buses are just too full. Sure, that of course should be the goal for most transit systems. Subways should run on time, especially when it costs over $3 to get in there. But when Torontonians have to fear for their life while taking the streetcar and subway, I think there are probably some larger problems at hand. If you have visited Toronto over the past 3 years, or you happen to be one of the unfortunate people who live in downtown, you will have likely noticed that Toronto's once beloved and once great parks have been completely taken over by tent encampments. Inside of these tent cities, which don't just happen to be inside Toronto, but are now a staple of Vancouver, crime runs rampant, and drug use is not just prevalent, but it looks as though it's encouraged, thanks in large part to the City of Toronto embracing safe injection, safe supply, and drug decriminalization, which is now almost a certainty thanks to Olivia Chow becoming mayor. City of Toronto public health facilities, along with any City of Toronto shelter, are handing out free drug starter kits. These include a bag full of needles, crack pipes, crystal meth kits, everything you would want to become hooked on drugs. The City of Toronto is giving for free. Not to mention, of course, the fact that the City of Toronto is handing out hydromorphone, a more potent heroin alternative to addicts as a way to wean them off of drugs. As I've also mentioned on this show before, the City of Toronto Public Health Department has submitted a proposal to the federal government seeking an exemption to decriminalize the possession of all hard drugs of any amount for any age. That's right. Anyone, including a child, could walk around the City of Toronto with fentanyl or crack or heroin, and the police would be able to do nothing about it. This is supposed to, as people like Olivia Chow and the federal government always remind us, save lives. But everyone should stop their concern. Why are we getting so worked up over Olivia Chow becoming mayor? Despite the fact that feces from homeless people will cover our streets, along with needles and crack pipes, all you'll have to do is just dodge the feces and crack pipes on your way to the library on Sunday. That's right, one of Olivia Chow's key policies when running for mayor was to open up Toronto's public libraries on Sundays. A fantastic proposal which will most certainly change this city's fortunes. Also, Olivia Chow is without a doubt the undisputed champion of bike lanes. These bike lanes will become a permanent fixture on our streets, especially during the winter months, when for 6 months of the year, not a single person is using those bike lanes. But again, we shouldn't be so concerned, because one of Olivia Chow's key platform policies is to champion the arts in Toronto. Olivia Chow has a plan to make Toronto more of an arts and culture destination. In fact, in Olivia Chow's arts and culture policy, she even makes a plan to cut taxes for arts and culture hubs, while increasing taxes for everyone else. Don't worry about needles, crack pipes, and tent cities in Toronto parks, because for a quarter of the year, Olivia Chow is going to increase the number of patios outside of Toronto restaurants. Just like opening up libraries on Sundays, she's really grabbing the issues of the day by the horns, isn't she? Olivia Chow also plans to build 25,000 rent-controlled homes on city land. That's her words. I'm not exactly sure where she's going to find the space to do that, but of course, something that nobody is mentioning is that Olivia Chow is beloved by city developers. She is without a doubt the developer candidate because she has plans to build more than any other candidate. Following a pattern in Canadian politics, the developer's choice always seems to win. Isn't that interesting? This brings us now to Olivia Chow, the new mayor of Toronto's alleged close connections with the Fuching Business Association of Toronto. You see, in early May, Olivia Chow is allegedly seen meeting with the Fuching Business Association in Toronto, trying to get their support for her mayoral candidacy. In a global news report from last year, the Canada-Toronto Fuching Business Association was accused of operating one of those overseas communist Chinese police stations. According to a National Post article, Chow also met with the group called the Council of Newcomer Organizations. This same organization is a pro-China group that has denied the Uyghur genocide and opposed Hong Kong's pro-freedom protests. Interestingly, a spokeswoman for the Chow campaign confirmed that Chow was not even invited to this Council of Newcomers organization meeting, and that council had not endorsed Chow for mayor, but that she showed up on her own and brought greetings. To say that these connections in these meetings that Olivia Chow held before the election would not be newsworthy is of course ridiculous, because everyone in Canada deserves to be able to have these conversations and weigh these facts, however uncomfortable they might be. But if it's true that Olivia Chow, the most soft-on-crime candidate in the election, a person who wants to not increase more police officers, but instead hire crisis support workers to handle 911 calls, was in fact dealing with an organization running Chinese police stations, the irony just has to be raised and has to be laughed at, doesn't it? A soft-on-crime mayor meeting with a group that is running Chinese police stations in Canada. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for us today on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Harrison Faulkner, and this is Ratio.